This video was inspired after I watched another YouTuber called Juicehead who made a video, The Fallout 76 Mod Problem. I will leave a link down to his video. I highly encourage you to go and watch it first. It will probably help with understanding, what I'm talking about right here. The basic message of that video seemed to be, whilst, Bethesda have hinted that private servers are coming soon, we might want to temper our excitement regarding modding. We might not be getting mod support quite as quickly as the private servers, and one major obstacle in getting mod support for Fallout 76 is the fact that mods would be a direct competitor to the Atom market. The free stuff you could get from the modding community would remove the incentive you have to purchase the items on the Atom store. This in turn gives Bethesda a lot less incentive to enable modding. They could enable private servers so people can choose who they play with, perhaps choose the rule set they play on the server, and customize the experience a little that way. But enabling modding could be a lot more problematic for Bethesda, as it would almost certainly stop the microtransaction sales, or at least reduce them for the people who are using the private servers. Now, I basically agree with his point in that enabling modding in Fallout 76 will reduce the potential to monetize microtransactions, although I do think it may add some incentive for people to get private servers. And if they monetize the private servers themselves, that might actually be a slightly more reliable source of income. I don't know how many sales they're making via the microtransactions, but it is possible that if you have to pay something like $1 per month for each person slot on your private server, so let's say you want a 10-person server, you've got to pay $10 a month, that is a way to monetize up to about 10 people. It's not a huge amount of money, but it's a constant drip of money, and all they have to do is maintain the private servers. So there may be some way for them to monetize it. And of course, having the free mods from the modding community will incentivize people to go on private servers and thus pay for private servers. So there is actually a way they could monetize this that would incentivize modding. Now, I did see one comment from someone who was saying something along the lines of, you seem to have forgotten the Creation Club, as if inferring that this would give Bethesda incentive to enable modding because they would want to sell you things through the Creation Club and thus would need to enable modding in the first place. That is not true. They could add the Creation Club to Fallout 76 without supporting modding in general. There's no reason they have to enable modding to add the Creation Club. But I actually don't think they're going to add the Creation Club anyway, because they've already got the Creation Club. It's called the Atom Market. The Atom Market is pretty much the exact same thing as the Creation Club, and there's no real need for them to add another microtransaction store. You don't need two microtransaction stores in a single game. It would be twice as much work for them, twice as much maintenance. It would look twice as messy on the menu, and it would cause 10 times as much bad PR. They're probably going to just continue using the Atom Market. And if you're thinking, but the Creation Club would be for private servers only and the Atom Market would be for public servers, okay, but there's no reason they can't have both public and private server content on the Atom Market. It would just be some content would be flagged as private server only. There might be a private server only section. So I don't actually see them adding a second microtransaction store, but it doesn't even matter if they do. If they add the Creation Club, they still don't have to enable mods. And if they thought that mods were going to interfere with sales on their two microtransaction stores, they might have twice as much reason to not enable it. However, I don't think monetization is the only problem facing Bethesda when it comes to adding mod support in Fallout 76. In fact, I don't even think it's the biggest problem. I think there are a host of technical issues they need to handle, and there's a load of questions that we're going to have to get answered before we can gauge how moddable Fallout 76 is going to be and how successful the rollout of mod support will be. I believe that they've already said that private servers will go through Bethesda Net, so you'll still need to be logged in. You won't be able to set up a server in your home and then log into it directly. You'll have to go through Bethesda Net. Whether or not you'll actually be able to have the physical server somewhere, like in your home or on some other third-party site, is still an unanswered question. I suspect it's more likely that Bethesda will host the servers themselves and that you will pay them for that server. That is probably the one that will be the easiest for Bethesda. But we just don't know that. They may allow the sort of server client setup you get with things like Minecraft, so you can actually have your own Fallout 76 server set up somewhere and people can log in privately to it. But there are a host of problems that occur with having that sort of setup, not the least of which is what happens when Bethesda push out an update. Your server might not receive that update. Is it going to be optional? If your game has updated but your server hasn't, could that cause problems? And so on and so forth. All of these questions I'm asking, by the way, will have answers and will have solutions, but they are going to have to be problems that get looked at by Bethesda. Where will the mods live? I mean, I'm expecting that the mods have got to be installed on your computer if those mods contain things like textures and models. But if they affect gameplay or add things like NPCs, dialogue, that sort of thing, that's surely going to have to be on the server. How is this going to affect the way we create mods? As a mod maker, I'm going to be thinking, all right, do I have to make two files? One of them's a server plugin, one of them's a client plugin. Will there just be one plugin and it'll contain what's needed for both? And, I mean, there's these sorts of questions. Will the mods only be on Bethesda Net, or will we be able to post them on Nexus? I mean, the problem with posting them anywhere but Bethesda Net is how you get them onto the server, especially if they're Bethesda hosted servers, because they're probably not going to allow you to upload mods from another site to their servers, for some fairly obvious security reasons, which would mean any mod would have to go through Bethesda Net so that they can just quickly check it for viruses or problems. How are they going to handle game updates? I mean, are they going to update both the client and the server? Assuming the servers are hosted by Bethesda and not third-party servers, which would, set up a whole new set of problems. Are they going to update the servers not knowing whether or not that will break the mods, because certain updates for games in the past, Fallout 4, Skyrim and the other games, have broken mods, and those mods might need fixing. So are they going to auto push the updates? If that breaks the server, what will happen? Will it just get rid of the mod? Will it just refuse to let you connect until you've updated the mod? What happens when the mod updates? Will that auto update onto the server and auto update onto your client? And, how are we going to handle the sort of problems that could have? A lot of people release mods and then say things like, you need to start a new character on this mod. Well, that's gonna be a bit of an epic fail if it's an auto update system. So things like this need to be dealt with. When you connect to a private server that has mods, does it trigger an automatic download at your end? Does it give you a prompt that lets you download them? Or does it just tell you which the mods are and you have to install them yourself? How does it handle load order? I mean, load order for Bethesda mods is important, and I'm assuming it will continue to be important. How are they going to handle that? Are they going to force your load order to match the load order of the server? If the server has a load order, that is. And if it doesn't enforce the load order, or indeed even allows you to have mods that you shouldn't have, could that cause major problems in the experiences different players have on the same world? And is that an issue that Bethesda even cares about? Or are they just going to say, that's completely your problem, we're going to wash our hands of it? And I'm sure right now people are coming up with even more problems down below. The added complexity of multiplayer, and then even more complexity that's added by the fact that it's server-based rather than just running on one person's machine, is going to change a lot with regards how we install mods and how we make mods. We're going to have a creation kit. Is this going to have the server tools we need? Is there going to be a period where people are creating mods, but because this is a whole new type of game, is it going to cause some problems that could be fairly catastrophic? You'll probably remember the early days of Skyrim. Because they changed the scripting engine, a lot of mods, including some of mine actually, did contain problems because we didn't understand some of the key differences. And it took a month or so before we started to iron out those problems. Are they going to have that? And if so, how catastrophic are they going to be? And as I said, I could just keep going on and listing these problems, and I'm sure some people are going to. And yes, I do. Again, I accept. For every problem I've come up with, there will be a solution. There's probably a game that does exactly what is needed to be done to solve that already, and Bethesda may be able to mimic those solutions. They may not, though. Different games can sometimes require different solutions to the same problem. So nothing I'm saying here is unsurmountable, but it's something that will have to be dealt with. So even though they may come up with a good way to monetize adding mod support, there's no guarantee we're going to get the sort of mod support that we had in Skyrim, Fallout 4, and Fallout New Vegas, etc. There's no guarantee that the mod support will be that good. There's no guarantee that the mods will work as well as that, or that the modding community will even step up to the plate and be willing to put the work in. That's another big question. You know, how motivated is the modding community to make the sort of mods you want? But, you know, these are the questions we're going to have to ask ourselves, and we're going to need answered before we can really decide whether or not we even want to go the modded private server route. I'm sure we probably will once it's enabled. I know I'm going to. If they enable private servers and enable modding, I'm probably going to get a server and start playing around with mods just because it's mods, right? I mean, I'm going to do it. I'm just keeping my expectations somewhat low, and I suggest you do the same. Just be aware of the fact that this is not going to be the case of just changing something in the ini file and it enables modding the way we did it in Skyrim and Fallout 4. It's just a different beast. It's got a whole host of different problems that will need to be solved, or there will be chaos. Maybe I should have said, and there will be chaos. It's probably a fairly good prediction. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. So go and check out Juicehead's video if you want to find out why he thinks the monetization issue could be a problem. It is the video that sort of got me thinking about mods being a problem for Fallout 76. And thank you for listening to me ramble on this long.